So in its second fundamentals, I want to talk to you about um, preferences. These are preferences that I like. So I have a brand new Houdini file. I just installed Houdini 20 for the first time, and I got to reset up my preferences. So I'm going to go up to, on Windows, I'm going to go up to uh, File, Preferences, and it's going to be somewhere a little bit similar, different on a Mac. Okay, so we have all these different pages, and I only set preferences for a few. So the first one, general tool use. Okay, draw lines smoothly. Okay, we'll pick that. And I'm going to pick this pick color pane headers. Now you can notice that when I have this file open, there's no color in here. And if I pick this and I hit apply, now you see that blue in there? So with that blue that's there, if I go inside this node, it turns green. And that's color code for like editing geometry inside this object space. If I go up, if I go to the image part of Houdini, it's this other color. Let me turn context view. So it turns into this kind of brown color. And if I go to the out or tracks, it's that, oh, this is new. It's maroon color. And then if I go to stage, it's also kind of the maroon color. If I go to shop, it's that kind of pinkish gray. I don't know. Output's kind of brown. So we get these different colors, and earlier versions of Houdini, meaning Houdini 8 and earlier, this color was a lot more obvious, and now it's kind of like subliminal, and you kind of get used to it. So even though you don't really look at the color, it kind of is a little indicator that things are in the right places. So I'm going to go back to my preferences. So that's one I definitely turn on. And then left-handed menus for left-handed people. And I don't really have to adjust those. Now this is the default startup desktop. And for me, remember, I just made this desktop, so I want that to be my default startup desktop. And if I need to scale my GUI to be smaller or larger, I can set this one. So now if I set this to 2 times 2, then I have to actually stop and restart Houdini, and this GUI is going to come up bigger. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to accept, save my Houdini file, and then quit. And I've opened up my Houdini file. You notice that even the splash screen is twice as large, generating new icons. So that's what it has to do when it starts up. It generates new icons, which are larger. And now it's uncomfortably large. So I probably definitely don't want this on my, because I'm using a 1920 by 1080 screen, which a long time ago used to be big. So general. So I'm going to go back now. I could try like 0.8, which is smaller than before. Save my Houdini file. Quit. I'm opening up my Houdini in a shell. That's going to be another video, but I only like to open up Houdini from a command line. I don't like double clicking to open the file. It comes from you working in a Unix environment for a long time. More than most of you are old. And so now you can see the words are smaller. So it kind of depends on the screen that you're working with. If you're screen sharing with somebody, you're trying to show something to a boss or a colleague over Zoom, and you're limited by your screen size, which out of courtesy, you shouldn't be using 4K in a Zoom meeting. And so oftentimes that's a preference that I have to adjust. And I'm going to go ahead and edit my preference, go back, and I'm going to set that back to I'm going to set it to 1.1, which is a little bit larger, and then save my Houdini file. And I notice that with a lot of the preferences, you have to actually quit Houdini before it sticks, or at least the way that it used to be. So now it's going to be slightly larger than, or 10% larger, slightly larger than the original one that I was started with. Generating new icons again. Okay, so that's like a comfortable size for 1920 by 1080. So go back to my preferences, continue. Okay, anything out here? Now this one here, icon size normal. There's a way of compacting things or making things larger. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the second page, which is network and node. And let me look through here. And I really only want to talk about the ones that I adjust. Um, so some of these you may want to adjust later. I'm trying to just hit the big ones. Okay, that one's going to be okay. 3D viewports. So Y up, Houdini's a Y up environment as opposed to 3D Max. Default honing oblique, and I like Z axis. And then if I hit apply, and in this window, like I hit space G, it should give me like a front view, or if I go to front, let's see, front, apply, accept. If I hit space G, it should give me a front view. So maybe it has to reload Houdini to get that to work. To 3D viewports. Okay. So that one just seems kind of not doing what I would expect it to do. Okay. And this is the kind of default, like wireframe ghost, what the display is, smooth shaded hidden line ghost. And allow, and I don't like a highlight component under mouse when selecting. You could leave that one checked. It can be annoying a little bit. So I'm going to go to the takes. So takes, I like the default. Okay, animation. Here's one I change. Auto keyframe. I'm an auto keyframe kind of a guy, so I like that. And then my initial segment type, I like linear, and um, and it defaults to Bezier, which is kind of an ease in, ease out. And I hate that. Like typically when I'm setting up my animation at the beginning, I'm doing something called blocking. I'm blocking the position of where everything should be. So I kind of want it like here, 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 here. And I want it to go at an even speed between the two. If you leave it to like Bezier or another kind of curve, it's going to like ease in and ease out and ease in and ease out. And it's really nauseating. And it's hard to block animation with it. So I prefer using linear. Okay. And then scoping here, let's see, nothing there. They've added a lot of things, and so there might be some cool things there I'm unaware of. Lighting, we're going to leave this alone. We're not going to really talk about lighting. Rendering, you can pick, like if you have RenderMan installed, you need to check that, or Material X, how you want to work with things. If I had Pixar RenderMan installed, I would need to check that one. Handles, that's for working in the window. I'm not a super big handles viewport working kind of guy, uh, but like I said, there's a lot of things that if I slap myself, maybe I should adopt it. Okay, so interactive tools, where you want things to go, and I like the default seem to work okay with me. Heads up display, that's where you create like a little interface in the window. I don't use that too much. Objects in geometry. Okay, this is one. This highlight under the objects, highlight objects. I don't like that. I do not like that. Sam, I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. And then show the default geometry display. I pick display. Okay, and these are like the most useful, or to me the most annoying, is unchecking highlight and checking this. And so when I work in a scene, I don't want the selected object to be yellow in the viewport, because it makes it difficult for me to look and judge my animation with one is highlighted more than the other. It can be really convenient, something to turn on, if you're like working in a scene with a lot of characters and you want to make sure which character that you picked. And so it can be useful when you have a really densely populated scene. And so this is something that you might want to turn on and off. But the display operator, if you're inside an operator like the hip, um, it's either gonna, if it is the pick one, it's going to show you this one, the one that's selected, and it'll also show you the display. So you kind of get a ghosted look. So on the next page, motion and audio. I don't really need to check anything on there. I don't use that too much anymore. Scripting, what kind of scripting language you use. Now the syntax highlighting is kind of like giving you help, and these little windows pop up that help you to show what you're doing. And if you like those, by all means leave them checked. And if they annoy you, you can uncheck them. And then there's one for AScript, and there's one for your preferred scripting language. So I still like using ApeScript for a lot of things. I'm gonna hit that. So I'm gonna leave these turned off for now. But sometimes I leave them all turned on. So um, uh, compositing, okay, that's it for doing. And you see, it's got several tabs for those things, and then how you want to work. Houdini has its own built-in compositor, kind of like Nuke. Scripting, okay, I guess I went backwards. Desktop and toolbars. So I and so the last class, last fundamentals, I talked about desktop and has saved desktops automatically. And if you accidentally, if you have this checked and you accidentally delete part of your desktop, you have to like recreate it because it's going to be gone for good if you have that turned on. So I don't ever turn that one on. Show hidden files, show all files. That's when you pick something. And for me, I kind of like having those turn on. If I have a picker and I open up something, I want to see where all the files are. And scripting, okay, desktop, save and load options. So uh, how your viewer looks, I leave that at the default. Hip file options, unit length. So I'm using 1 meter, and one unit equals 1 kilogram. So this is mass weight, and this is length. And so if you move something one thing in Houdini, it's 1 meter. And and I've kind of played with it before, and sometimes it seems to do what I think it's going to do, and sometimes it didn't. If I change it, like let's say I want to scale everything up, so 1 unit equals uh, 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 0.1 meter, 10 centimeters. Um, so then I would have to scale that, and it just seemed, at least for me, it just seemed unpredictable. But it's there. Okay, notifications, is that how we get annoyed by things. So echo history, echo hotkey commands, and message time, and where the messages go. Uh, and I leave that by the default. External tools. That's if you have other things that you work together with Houdini, and then miscellaneous is yada yada yada. Okay, so these are things that I don't touch, really apply, and it could be important, like you want to have a CPU or a GPU uh, fire thing. So and then your graphics card settings. So apply, accept, and now I'm going to save this file, and then I'm going to quit Houdini and open my file back up again, and. And so for me, like I have noticed that some of my preferences, they don't really stick until I save the file and reopen, because I've had times where I've made changes and my Houdini file crashed, and then it didn't work. So now for you, these are the preferences that I have. I didn't go into a great deal talking about why or what I did them for. But if you have certain preferences that you like setting a certain way, please like send me a message and let me know, because um, uh, I'd like to know if there's things that you have set for your preferences differently from what I have. I'd be curious to hear.